Hello, everybody. What's going on? What's happening? It's your girl Tiffany coming through here live in effect. So I want to do a part two of the video that I have done a couple of months back, and it's this whole myth about if you don't work hard, you won't be successful. Hard work pays off, and I was speaking on why that is not true. If you don't work hard, you won't be successful because there's plenty of people that have worked hard and have not became very successful. Peace to the chat. Yeah, but that's people who work extremely hard and have not become very successful. And it wasn't because they didn't put effort into their work, or they weren't very diligent, or they weren't focused. It's because they did not have the support system. They did not have the connection. So on this part two, because the last video I mentioned a book by Robert H. Frank. It's called Success and Luck, Good Fortune and the Myth of Meritocracy. All right. So let me show you guys the book, and you can check it out right here on Amazon. Okay. Right here on Amazon. Check it out. So that's the book right there. If you're in the United States, it costs $17.95 for the paperback. Okay. So that's the book by him called Success and Luck. See, oftentimes we have been told that if you work your way to the top, you become successful. And people don't tell you actually how they really became or how they earned success. They'll tell you, I worked my ass off. Okay, you work your ass off. What else did you do besides working your ass off? How did you get there? And what we will learn that 10% of the time is meritocracy, right? But the other 90% will be nepotism and cronyism. And I'm going to go into the definition of what nepotism is and what cronyism is. But I want to thank everybody that has been subscribing to my channel, liking my channel, sharing my videos, etc. But I'm going to go into those two things, right? And then I'm going to talk about what they have in common and how they are different. And what are the pros and cons to this? Because this is something that we all are familiar with, right? And it happens a lot, especially at our workplace. Excuse me, because I made some ginger tea, and that's my first time making ginger. That thing is tingling. And I ain't know it's going to tingle like that. But anyways, let's go ahead and let's look up the term nepotism. All right. Then we're going to talk about cronyism. Then we're going to talk about what they both have in common. Then we're going to get into the pros and cons. Yes, it is good for you, but child, that thing is tingling. I used some ginger root tea to make some tea, and I ain't know that it was going to turn out to be this strong. Ooh, child, I ain't know. I put some lemon in there too, and that lemon made it a little stronger. But it is good though. Make sure y'all drink some ginger. Get you a ginger root and make sure you cut the ginger. As you cut the ginger root, peel it off. Put it in a pot, let it boil for about 10 minutes. But if you want it to be stronger, you might want to let it boil for 20 minutes. All right. Then take it out of there. Put it in your coffee cup. Add some lemon in there and add some honey. They'll do the work. All right. So let's go ahead and continue. All right. So what is nepotism? All right. Let's get into what nepotism is. So nepotism is a form of favoritism that is granted to relatives and friends in various fields, including business, politics, economics, entertainment, sports, fitness, religion, and other activities. The term originated with the assignment of nephews to important positions by Catholic popes and bishops. Nepotism has been criticized since the ancient time by several philosophers, including Aristotle, Bolivar, and Confucius, condemning it as both evil and unwise. And I can agree, and I'm going to explain why. All right. So the term comes from the Italian word nepotismo, which is based on Latin root nepos, mean nephew, right? Since the Middle Ages and until the late 17th century, some Catholic popes and bishops who had taken vows of chastity and therefore usually had no legitimate offspring of their own gave their nephews such position of preference as were often accorded by fathers to sons. All right, so if you guys don't know, in the Catholic religion, priests and nuns are supposed to be virgins. They're not supposed to engage into intercourse. So if you engage into intercourse and you have children, you cannot be a priest or you cannot be a nun. So by the priest and nun not engaging into intercourse, right? All right, that's supposed to represent their higher status. It's supposed to represent their chastity. It's supposed to represent their it's supposed to represent the fact that they're more disciplined, basically. So yeah, that's the whole ordeal. So with that being said, nepotism, when it came down to the priests, usually they don't have children of their own, so they pass it down to their nephews. That's next in line. And the nephews get in a position of power. That's where the term nepotism come into place. Okay. Now, let's get into cronyism. Okay. So what is cronyism? Cronyism is the practice of partially in awarding jobs or other advantages to friends or trusted colleagues, especially in politics, between politician and supportive organization. For example, cronyism occurs when appointing cronies to position of authority regarding of their qualification. This is in contrast to meritocracy, in which appointments are made based on merit. Politically, cronyism is derogatorily used to imply buying and selling favors, such as votes in legislative bodies, as doing favors to organizations give desirable ambassadorships to exotic places. Cronyism is a specific form of favoritism. Now, let's break down cronyism, dealing with giving position of power to those who are friends or colleagues or people that one may be acquainted with, right? Whereas nepotism is giving position of power to those who are relatives, particularly those who are in the immediate family. Okay. But what they both have in common is favoritism. And favoritism shows favorites of those that's in the groups of certain individuals, particular individuals. That's what favoritism is. Now, let's get down to how these two things can be a bad thing. It can be good, but it can be bad. It can be good because in nepotism, if you start a business, right, and you keep your business running, you want to pass it on down to relatives that's next in line. All right. So whether it be your son or daughter, right, or your niece and nephews, Your brother or sister, you want to keep your business in the family. You want to keep the legacy going. All right. So that's the pro about nepotism. You know what? Let me see something. Was that put in place before or after Borgia? Let me go back. You know what? Because I type so fast. Let me go back to this person's question on here. Okay. Now, real quick, I'm gonna go over this. It says several posts elevate nephews and other relatives to the cardinal light. Often such appointments were a means of continuing a pastoral dynasty. For instance, Pope Calasius, the third head of Borgia family, made two of his nephews cardinals. All right. So according to the information, I think it's during the period of Borgia. Yeah. So it was during that time period. So it had to be after the Borgia family, according to the article. All right. So I hope that answered your question. All right, but yeah, get back to the point that I was making about nepotism. Nepotism can be good or it has a pros to it because when you start a business, you want to keep the business in the family. So that way you can pass on down legacies, right? And you can pass on down generational wealth. So that's the good thing about nepotism, okay? Because you give somebody an opportunity in the family to inherit the business and keep the legacy going. And what's good about cronyism is because you or a friend or somebody you acquaintance with come up in a business together, right? And y'all come up with a business idea, and that helps to keep things going because you know the individual and you know their goals, and you guys share common goals with each other, and you share your ideas and you combine them. So that's a good thing about cronyism. Okay. So those are the pros. Now, here are the cons. The cons about nepotism is just because you put somebody that's in your family in a position of power or hire them on board does not always mean they are trustworthy. So just because you put somebody in a position of power that's in your family or hire someone to work for you that's related to you does not mean they are qualified or trustworthy. And that's where people can make a mistake at. You're hiring people who are not qualified at times, but you do it because you want to give them a fair chance and they're related to you. And you want to be able to help them out before you hire someone off the streets or give that position to someone that's not in the bloodline or in the lineage. But if they don't know what they're doing, right, or if they're not bringing about good representation and professionalism, then your business can go downhill, right? And or the company that you might be managing or a CEO of, and you have someone in family that's working under you, they can give you a bad name because they don't know what they're doing or they don't know how to conduct themselves. Or they're doing things that may be very suspicious. And see, that's the con. Same way with cronyism. Because you friends with somebody, you acquaintances with them, or they your colleagues from a previous job or something, does not mean that they are trustworthy or they're reliable and they have good work ethics. That does not mean that, because just like family can make a mistake, right? And they can make bad decision, right? The same way with somebody that's in cronyism, they can make a bad decision. What did Robert Greene say in the 48 Laws of Power? Let's look it up. What did he say? Now check this out. Check this out. This is what he said. If I could pull it up. As a matter of fact, hold on. Give me one moment because I have the book. Hey, everybody in the chat. Let me go and get my book real quick. Okay, so I'm back. So here's the 48 Laws of Power book for those of you that have it. Now, what did he say? Okay, what did he say in his book? So it's so many laws in his book, right? It's so many laws in his book, but check this out. He said something that is very, like, that is of substance. He said, never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. Uh-oh. He says, be wary of friends. And this is law number 2. Law number 2. Be wary of friends. They will betray you more quickly, for they are easily aroused to envy. They also become spoiled and tyrannical. But hire a former enemy and he will be more loyal than a friend because he has more to prove. In fact, you have more to fear from friends than from enemies. If you have no enemies, find a way to make them. Now, you might say, well, who want to go out there and make enemies? You don't want to just make enemies, right? No. I mean, it would be wise to make competition versus making enemies. It would be wise to make competition than to have enemies. Because nobody really wants to have an enemy. However, enemies does come and it happens. Okay. In the beginning, you may not be on good terms with everybody. You know what I'm saying? So when you start to develop a certain relationship with an individual who started off as your enemy, then you start to see that they weren't really enemies to begin with. It's just you guys had some form of discrepancy. Y'all had some differences and it needs to be settled, right? So you gave your enemy a chance to prove him or herself. And the way to do that is what? To put them on board, to have them work with you, to see how diligent they are, right? Because if you always hiring friends or somebody that's close to you, chances are they can take advantage of you. And that's another con with dealing with cronyism and nepotism, is there's people who are the closest to you that would envy you. Those who are the closest to you would envy you more than those who are outside your circle. They are more than likely to envy you. And they're going to find a way to try to tear you down. They're going to find a way to try to tear you down. Because they want what you have. They want what you have. And they're going to do any and everything to get that. And see, that's the problem. Now, I know it's hard because you may know somebody for a long time and you have a very close relationship with them. But you have to think to yourself, well, are they qualified to do this kind of work? Can I trust them to run a business? Can I trust them to be in management position? Can I really trust them? Can I really Trust them with their work ethics, professionalism, you know? So favoritism can get people in trouble. Favoritism can get people messed up in the long run. Because once you find out somebody turn on you, especially, and you come back and say, well, hey, I helped you out. I did this and that for you. You know, I put you on, and this is how you do me. Well, eventually it's going to get to that point. You know what I'm saying? It's going to get to that point. But the whole thing is, what I learned about being successful is networking. Because it's not what you know, it's who you know. Again, it's not what you know, it's who you know. You know? So people, you might have somebody, if they look at your merit and look at your skills, your talent, your potential, they may connect you with somebody they know to get the job done. Because they may not have that skill settings, or they already passed that level. So they figure, hey, well, let's get somebody else on board that can do this. That is more reliable, more qualified. But sadly speaking, a lot of times it's not based on merit or meritocracy. It's based more so on what you know. But you have to be careful with that. Because you got to be able to make sure, are you networking with the right people? Do these people have intentions on connecting you to the individuals that you need to be connected to? And then on top of that, is it always good to hire a family member? Is it always good to have friends on board? What's the whole general purpose? Is it always good to have the closest people to you working for you and working under you? Because again, there's the pros and there's the cons. There's the pros and there's the cons. So, not saying that people should not have family members in their circle. But if you do have family members in your circle, make sure they're reliable. Make sure they're trustworthy. Make sure they have the skill settings to operate whatever type of management position or business or whatever. Because if they don't and they get put into a position, then 9 times out of 10, they're going to make you look bad. If you're going to put friends on board, make sure the same thing. They got to have the skill sets. They got to know what to do. They got to know what they're doing. Because if not, then they can give you a bad name and give you a bad representation. Somebody put, the term pull yourself up by the bootstrap was originally meant to make fun of the possibility of someone being able to do such a thing, but it became the term to describe meritocracy without help. And that too, see, and see, that can be a problem as well. Because see, here's the thing. You can only do so much by yourself. You can only do so much by yourself. So in some cases, you do have to pull yourself up by the bootstrap. You have to pull yourself up by the bootstrap in some cases. In some cases. But in all cases, you can't do that. You can't always pull yourself up by the bootstrap. You may need a helping hand. You're going to need a helping hand. You're going to need a helping hand. So we got people think that like in life, they can do everything by themselves. And you can't. You can't do everything by yourself. No matter how strong you are, no matter how intelligent you are, no matter how book smart you are, no matter how much you know, you can't do everything by yourself. And if I was to give an estimate as far as percentage is concerned, you could probably do only 10% by yourself, and the 90% you can't. 10% you can do by yourself, 90% you can't. 90% you cannot do. It's impossible. Because you're going to need a helping hand in the long run. You're going to need helping hand for a certain situation. Because life is going to get too stressful, and it's going to be too much baggage for you to carry, to where you got to come to a point and realize that you can't do it all. You're going to need someone to reach out to. That's why I say this, especially about us black people. Especially about us black people. There's no such thing as individualism. Yeah, you could be an individual, but you're going to be part of the collectivism. Because individualism is nothing without collectivism. Again, individualism is nothing without collectivism. Because you're going to always be part of the collectivism. Whether you try to separate yourself, whether you claim an identity or what, you're going to be a part of that collectivism. Because individualism don't mean nothing. It don't mean shit. It really don't mean shit if you ain't got a collective. Because what can't you really do as an individual? You can only do so much. You can only do so much. You can only do a little, this little, as an individual. But if you be a part of that collective, you got a whole lot that you can really do. And that's why if we can get out the mindset of just being just individuals, I mean, at the end of the day, you are an individual, but just thinking that we can just do things as individuals by ourselves and not work together. If we just get away from that mindset, then we can see ourselves progressing. But it's too many individual thinking to where collectivism is not involved into the picture. It brings interference. Understand what I'm saying? So you can't do everything by yourself. It's just impossible. You can't do everything by yourself. I mean, that's not necessarily true. Some people do things by themselves. Some people can wake up in the morning, take a shower. You can get up and go take a shower by yourself. You can put your clothes on by yourself, right? You can put your shoes on. Now, there's some people that can't do it all, that has to have a helping hand. But as long as you're able and you're healthy, you can get up in the morning, wash your behind up, put your clothes on, pick out what shoes you want to wear, or, pick out what hat you want to put on, pick out what coat you want to put on, right? You can do that by yourself. But you learn how to do those things. You're trained how to do those things. It's not something that just happens overnight. It's something that is a learning process. It takes a learning process for you to learn how to do things, do little simple things like that on your own. Now, if you're in a situation where you're unable to help yourself out due to ableism, mean like if you're disabled or anything like that, then that's a different story. But if you have a healthy body, and you're able to move around and you're able to walk from one point A to point B, then you can do those things. You can do those simple things. But As far as the rest, you can't do everything by yourself. You can't do everything. At the very least, you need your customer base to absolute. That's a big one. That's a big one. I'm glad you brought that up, Centavo. You need customer support. Somebody said something a long time ago, and this is very true. 20% of your customers give about 80% of your revenue. So 80% of your revenue, right, if you run a business, come from 20% of your customers, which that means that you have repeating customers coming back and forth, back and forth. So those repeating customers, right, which are those 20%, well, you know what? No. I got the math wrong. I got it wrong. Okay. 20% might be your new customers. All right. But the rest of the 80% are your repeating customers. That's what I meant to say. 80% is your repeating customers. Only 20% is your new customers. So most of your revenue comes from those repeating customers more than they come from new customers, because those people support your business. Those people support buy your products, right? Those people value your business. So, and they're your most important customers. Those who repeat and come back and back again, those are your most important people. And if you lose those most important people because of your attitude or because of less products or competition, then yeah, then you ain't gonna see yourself lasting too long, right? So your repeating customers is the ones that value you. And what they'll do is give recommendation to other customers about your business. And those customers give recommendation to other customers, and so on and so forth. Hey, Peace, how you doing, bro, Chauncey? Right. Ain't no, and that's another thing. Ain't no such thing as really being self-made. And you can't be really self-made without network. You can't be self-made without people, period. So that's why I asked the question, what is money? What does the value of money really mean? The value of money don't mean nothing. The value of money don't mean anything if you ain't got people. So whether you are an investor, business owner, self-employed, or an employee, you will not have money without people. Because people is what makes you get paid. People is what pays your bill in a technical sense. It's the people that's behind the money. It's the people that's giving you money. How? They pay for your products. They pay you for your work ethics, for the service that you provided. They pay you for your business. They pay you for your company. What did the OJ say? People make the world go round. Isn't that what the OJ say? People make the world go round. But you know, it's kind of like going off topic a little bit. I mean, I'm on topic, but at the same time, I'm kind of off topic. But going back to the concept is, if you don't work hard, you won't be successful. And that's not always true. And hard work pays off. Because that's not always the case. There's people who don't even work their behinds off, and they don't show good merits and they become successful. They work, they cheat their way up to the top, pretty much. All because they know somebody. There's people who have worked their behinds off for a long time. For a long time. And they died penniless. Penniless. They died not having anything to pass down. Does that sound familiar to you? Well, I tell you, because it sounds familiar to me. We talking about those who was slaves. In this case, those slaves, they worked their behind off in the field, whether it be the cotton field, whether it be the tobacco, sharecropper, whatever it was. They worked their behinds off and did not get compensated for it. And if they got compensated for something, it wasn't monetary. It was not always monetary. And many of them was promised some acre of lands, but instead, many of them got nothing. Very few of them got something. Many of them didn't receive anything. And for those who had something, they lost it along the way due to mobs, due to strong competition, due to people coming in and running and take over their business. They have lost it along the way. So a person cannot sit here and tell me that, oh, well, the reason why such and such ain't became successful because they did not work their ass off. That's not true. How do you know that a person did not put much effort into their work? Sometimes most of the times you have to be chosen. That's the real thing. You got to be chosen. You got to be chosen by a certain individual. It's not just going to happen magically. You got to be chosen. There's a thing called luck. There's a thing called chance. There's a thing called probability. Probability is dealing with chances, and chances are dealing with luck. What are your chances of becoming successful? What are your chances of reaching that pinnacle? What are your chances of getting to the higher status? What are your chances? You got to weigh out your odds. What are your odds of becoming successful? What are your odds of becoming damn successful? What are the odds? What are your damn odds? That's why I like the dice. Because the game of dice, and I don't want to bring it up because, it makes me think about Takeoff, the young man from Mingos. But the game of dice, if we understand it in the symbolism, okay, we understand the game of CeeLo, or what we call shooting crabs. The whole goal of the game of dice is to get 7-11. That's your winning number, 7-11. 7-11. If you get 7 on the first round, the second round you get 11, you win the game, right? But again, when you roll that dice, what are the chances that you're going to win? What are the chances that you're going to lose? Because I'm going to tell you the truth, you have a greater chance of losing than you would of winning. And just like when you play the lottery, you have a greater chance of losing than you have a chance of winning the lottery. You have a strong chance of losing than you have a chance of winning. That's life. Life, you have a strong chance of losing than you have a strong chance of winning. And if you win in life, you was fortunate. You was fortunate and you was the lucky one. You was lucky to win. That's just like our lives. We are lucky to wake up in the morning and get up and go do our daily routine or nightly routine. We are lucky. We are lucky to be able to use our voice. Some of us are lucky to be able to walk. Those of us, we are lucky to be able to drive. We are lucky to be able to do the normal routine. Because everybody don't have that chance and everybody don't know. We all don't know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. We just know that we living by chance and we deal with chances and probability. That's all we dealing with. You deal with chances and you deal with probability. And that's the same way of being successful. Dealing with chances, dealing with probability. So what are the odds? What are the chances? That's something that we have to look at. That's something that we must realize. We are the only people that are not collective like other nations. And that's a fact. Because you know why? We allow ourselves to be divided. We allow ourselves to think on an individualistic mindset. That's why. We operate from the concept of individualism. Oh, child, I can breathe a little bit better. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that ginger do some work now. Excuse me, y'all. I had some ginger tea for those of you that just coming in. That ginger do some work. It helped me to breathe a little bit better now because, I guess it's allergy season. You know how it is when you sneezing constantly back and forth. Whew. I guess it does its work. That's why I love home remedy. I'm not against home remedy at all. Sometimes home remedy is necessary. But anyways, timing and condition, aka look, absolutely timing and condition. What are the condition? Condition applies. When they say on the commercial and on the products, if you look at the fine print, it says condition applies. Yes. Yes. But then the question one may ask, what is time? Does that even exist? What does time really look like? Is time really an illusion? But that's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother topic in itself. Yes, it does. Shoot, and I gotta drink the rest of it too, because I still got some more in the pot. I gotta drink the rest of it. But yeah, that ginger does work. Oh yeah, it does some work on you. Child, I gotta start drinking that more often. I'm gonna start making ginger tea more often. Because it does some work on you. It really does. And I can say that. Like I said, for those of you that ain't never tried no ginger, look, those of you who has never tried ginger, make sure you get you some ginger roots, okay? Cut that thing up, peel it off, put it in a pot of water, let that thing boil for about 10 to 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and then put some lemon in there and let it boil a little bit more and put some honey on there. You good to go. You on your way. Mm-mm-mm. I didn't know how easy it was because I ain't never made it before until today. But yeah, that thing worked. I must say that it really works. Because I feel a little bit better now. I feel a little bit better. Oh boy, yes. All right. But anyways, thank you, Henry. You must know a lot about remedy. You must know a lot about home remedy. I could tell. But anyways, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here. But I thank you guys in the chat for coming through and support my channel, like my channel, share my channel, all that great stuff. And for those of you that are new, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share the channel, hit the notification bell, and also check out all my other video contents on there. Okay. All right. So yes, because for the most part, I deal with a lot of stuff, deal with history and all. I have a lot of discussion about that and current events every once in a while, and every once in a while I talk about science or give my thoughts, inputs on, different subject matters. So, but I'm not expert, okay? I'm more of what you would call a philomath. A philomath is someone that studies or learns like different subject matters and go from there. Someone who admires and loves studying different subjects. All right. A polymath is someone who's an expert at multiple subjects. A philomath is someone who likes to learn various subjects. So I'll be more of a philomath than a polymath. All right. So not to confuse the two. Okay. But anyways, you guys have a wonderful evening. And I want to thank you guys once again. So this your girl Tiffany. And I'm logging off saying deuces and please be safe. Until next time, peace and power elevation be to all of you. And I'm going to talk to y'all later. All right. On the next video. So check me out. All right. Deuces. Thank you.